smart.
My dear friends, I realize a lot of people always get confused with which Herod are we talking about? Is it the Herod who beheaded the little children, or is it another Herod, or what? I just want to take 3 minutes to clarify that a little bit, and then I go to the meaning of the gospel that we just heard. Where do I start from? We start with David, for instance. Okay, David was the one who was really beloved by God. He was known as somebody after God's own heart, and God sends the prophet Nathan, and he promised to David in 2 Samuel chapter 7 that he is going to have an eternal kingdom. His kingdom will rule from age to age. So his children would always come. His descendants would always sit on the throne. And from this moment, Israel knows that a Savior is going to come from that line, from the line of David. So after David was Solomon, and Solomon was beloved by God also, but his kingdom did not last well. First of all, because he married many women and he had many concubines, most of whom were Canaanites, they were pagans. And because they were pagans, they demanded David to set up shrines for their gods. And that became the beginning inviting trouble for the people of Israel because of idolatry, as we know. And later, secondly, his kingdom did not last well because he raised up heavy taxes for the people of Israel. So people did not really like him at the end. And then when he died, his son Rehoboam came up, and they were thinking that Rehoboam is going to lower the taxes, but no, he did not. And because of that, there was a kind of a revolution between Solomon's son, Rehoboam, and Solomon's army general, who was called Jeroboam. And because of that, the whole kingdom of Israel was divided into two, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. The northern kingdom had 10 tribes, and they had their capital in Samaria. The southern kingdom had 2 tribes, the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin, and they had their capital in Jerusalem, ruled by Rehoboam and then Jeroboam in the north. Now, the people of the northern kingdom, because the temple was a center for them, for all of Israel, it was the center for everything for them, most of the people would leave from the north and come to the south to worship. And because of that, Jeroboam did not want that. So what he did, he set up idols also for his people and said, you don't need to go to Jerusalem, now you worship these gods. And at that moment, when God realized this was becoming very dangerous for his people, he sends prophets. That is how the prophets came into being. He sends prophets to the northern kingdom to warn them not to worship idols, to keep away from all that is evil, to keep away from anything that is going to annoy God. But they did not listen. And what happens? God judged them. He sends the Assyrians to come, and he took the people into exile, scattered the people, and the northern kingdom was completely wiped out. The southern kingdom was still left with 2 tribes, the tribe of Benjamin and the tribe of Judah, with their center and capital in Jerusalem. And God sends prophets because of the many shrines that Solomon had set up, and his son Rehoboam continued with those sacrifices and idolatry. God sends prophets, the prophet Jeremiah that we hear today, the prophet Isaiah, prophet Micah, and the rest of them. And they prophesied to them and told them, warned them, look at what happens to your brothers in the north. If you do not take care, it's going to happen to you also in the south. But they didn't listen. And God sends the Babylonians under King Nebuchadnezzar to come and take them into exile. And the whole place was wiped out. The temple was destroyed. They had no priests, no prophets, no king. And God again, while they were in exile, God sends prophets to prophesy to them and give them messages of hope and remind them of the promise that was made to David, that his kingdom will have no end. So they were always waiting for a Messiah who was going to set them free. So anyway, 50 years down the line, the people are in exile, and the Persians came and conquered the Babylonians, and under King Cyrus, they told the Israelites go back to their land, and they actually gave them some materials and money to build up the temple. And while in exile, the prophet Ezekiel and Daniel prophesied to the people and told them, don't worry, God is going to look after you. God is going to build another temple. God is going to restore you back to your home. And they always looked forward to that. But then when they would return home and they built the temple, they realized this temple is not like what we were expecting to have. So God still sends prophets to them to give them messages of hope. Anyway, later on, the Persians were defeated by the Greeks under Alexander the Great, who was very good also. He defeated the Persians and he still looked after the Israelites. But then, later on after him, he didn't last for a long time. Then there was King Antiochus IV, who came up and he really was really enslaving the people again. And the people said, enough of our suffering. And that is how the Maccabees came. The Maccabees were a family of the Jewish. They decided to, under Judah, they decided to rouse up the other Israelites to say, okay, we have to fight now. We can't be enslaved for the rest of our lives. And they stood up and they fought, and they managed to conquer the Greeks. They tried to extend their territory until the Romans came. When the Romans came, they defeated the Maccabees. But now when the Maccabees were ruling over the people, they said, no, this cannot fulfill the prophecy, because the Maccabees do not come from the line of David. Now, when the Romans came and conquered the Maccabees, now they took over the whole territory. It was very big for them. Rome was an empire, and they didn't know what to do. They had conquered it, but they didn't have enough rulers to be able to take care of the entire Palestine or their empire. And so this nobleman came. He was called Herod the Great. Herod the Great came and he asked the Romans, can you let me look after these people? And the Romans accepted and said, okay, you can look after them. And then he actually did very well. He expanded the territory, he expanded the boundaries, and he built a magnificent temple that was bigger than even the one of Solomon. Okay? So he was very much loved by the people, but there was just one problem, that he did not come from the line of David. Okay? He did not come from the ancestry of David. And so the people knew the prophecy cannot be fulfilled by this man until the time Jesus was born. And when Jesus was born and the Magi and the three wise men came, we call them the three wise men. It's not scriptural, but we call them three wise men. But they came from the east, and then they came and they met Herod, and they said, we have seen a star and we are going to worship the king. And Herod was threatened by that. Why? Because he had invested for many years in Palestine. And he was hoping that the people are going to love him, they are going to accept him as king, even against all odds. And then when he realized that there was another little boy who has been born in Bethlehem, he decided he's going to kill all the children. At times you have to understand that because he had made a lot of investments, he took Israel when they were nothing and brought them up. And now being a king was a threat to his kingdom and his rule over the people. So that is why he decided to kill all the children, so that Jesus will be killed during that time. Because God would have it, it did not happen as it was. But then 3 years after Herod died, Herod the Great, it's called Herod the Great, he died and he had 3 kids. One of them was called Archelaus, one was called Herod Antipas, whom we hear in the gospel today. So it is not the Herod who killed the children, who is the same Herod who beheaded John the Baptist. Okay? So we had Archelaus, Herod Antipas, and Philip. He had 3 kids. So Palestine was divided into 3 parts. The first part was given to Archelaus. Half of the area of the kingdom was given to Archelaus, and a quarter was given to Herod Antipas, and a quarter was given to Philip. Okay, but Archelaus also was very stubborn. He was really like his father, so he did not rule for a long time, and his kingdom was taken from him by Caesar Augustus, and he was banished, and the kingdom was given to Pontius Pilate. The Romans appointed one of theirs to look after Judea and all of that area. So Herod Antipas took care of Galilee and Philip took care of the other part of the kingdom. And that is this Herod now who beheaded John the Baptist. And this is the same Herod that we hear when Jesus was being tried, and Pilate heard that Jesus had come from Galilee. That is why Pilate sent Jesus to be judged by Herod. Okay, that is what I wanted to clarify this morning, so that we get but Herod Antipas, he ruled even right up to the time after Jesus had died. He ruled for about 36 years before he departed. And the gospel today talks about Herod Antipas taking the wife of his brother Philip. Okay? Of his brother Philip. And that is why John the Baptist stood up and said, according to the Mosaic law, that is not right. And that is how he ended up being beheaded. But again, we come back now to the gospel. I wanted to clarify that so that you have that in mind of everything that happens right from the time of David. And if you want some better lectures, then you can meet me during my class. Anyway, but I wanted to talk about, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the time as well. Yesterday I was talking about having the responsibility as Christians to be able to speak the truth at all times. But also we must remember that the truth can also be spoken to us. And how do we receive this truth? This is what we find in the gospel today, and in the first reading as well. The prophet Jeremiah standing and speaking against the southern kingdom and telling them, you must repent, otherwise the kingdom of Babylon is going to come and wipe you out. The people did not want to hear that. They said this man is a false prophet and everything, and they tried to persecute him. Jesus has been speaking the truth, and the Pharisees and the scribes, they tried to persecute him. John the Baptist stood up and he spoke the truth against Herod and Herodias and said, what you are doing is not right. You should not be doing this. What happens? They beheaded him. And it's not just a story for the time past, but it's also our story. How do we receive the truth that is spoken to us? Do we allow the truth to challenge us, or do we always want to suppress and silence it so that nobody would hear about it? At times it's a very difficult thing to do, not only for anybody, but actually for me as well. I think about it when I get an opportunity for somebody who had challenged me with the truth. What do I do with that opportunity? Do I try to suppress that person and make the person look stupid as well? And it's important to realize that the truth should be the standard. Okay? It should challenge us at all times. That whatever thing is spoken to us, it doesn't matter how painful it can be, are we ready as Christians to be able to receive it and say, I want this truth to change me, to challenge me, to transform me. Let us ask for that grace to be able to allow the truth. And remember, Jesus himself says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. To allow Jesus, through the message of the truth, to challenge us at all times.
Kiss us, mother, kiss your children. Bring God's blessings from above. With your mantle blue enfold us in your gentle holy love. See the darkness dissipating, hear the trumpet echoing, Satan's rage